How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Theme Park Shark Podcast, doing another episode of Shark Stop with Alicia Stella.
Hello, hello.
Today, guys, we are going home, and I'm very happy about that because for the first time in a long while, I'm probably going to lead this episode a little more, which is a very different take on Shark Stop. So we're going home. We're going to talk about something that I actually know what I'm talking about in this episode. We're going to go to Universal Studios Hollywood, and I'm very excited about that. So before we get into it, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, let's go ahead and dive into Universal Studios Hollywood. So there is a lot happening at this park. Things are still moving forward. Nothing has kind of halted, thankfully, as far as on the Nintendo front. Things are looking really good. But outside of that, there are some concerns in regards to things that might be happening at Jurassic World and Secret Life of Pets. And as you guys know, those are the two attractions that we're still waiting on and still hoping that open up with the park after this whole coronavirus closure. So I am going to throw it over to Alicia. I'm curious what you've heard about the park, what your questions are, because I think whatever you have for me might be what they have for me as well.
I'm very curious about Secret Life of Pets because at least Jurassic World did open and it went down for this like major refurbishment where they're going to change things. But Secret Life of Pets never technically opened to the public, right?
Secret Life of Pets was interesting because the final week before the park officially closed, rumors were pretty much running every single day. Today's going to be the day we soft open. Today is going to be the day we soft open. And then you get to about 1 or 2 p.m. and then they'd say, hey, we're doing it tomorrow. So they were trying. They were really pushing. But I think as soon as they saw the real threat of the coronavirus and that what was about to happen, they were just like, guys, like, no, we're not going to do this. The park's just going to close at this point.
Which is similar to what we had over in Orlando with the Jason Bourne show, where team members got to see it. And did team members get to see the Secret Life of Pets ride? I
mean, they were training people, all the ride ops and everything, all the way up until that final day. They've been in there. There's a lot of action happening inside. It's ready to go. The main reason that it didn't go, from what I've been told, were some internal things within the queue that they were trying to handle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I heard a couple of reviews and people genuinely seem to like it. I mean, it's what the park needs is like more family attractions, especially something family friendly for any ages or any size. I saw the pictures. I saw the officially released pictures, and it's so great to see animatronics with actual fur, not like rubber that's painted like fur.
Exact thing I said.
At first glance, I was like, this is kind of creepy, but then I was like, oh no, wait, it's actually kind of awesome. It's like a very realistic variation of this world, and I love the exteriors. Oh my god, the exteriors are so good with like all of the different nods to different locations that are in the films, and like the backpack for the kid in the little daycare.
It's incredible. There truly is, just like Universal tends to do, with Potter, how everything's fairly detailed, even across the board with a lot of the things that they've been theming as of recently. They did the same thing here with Pets. I mean, they gave it a whole street. There's rumors that there's going to be interactivity on the streets. There's theming, like you were saying, in the windows. There's heavy theming throughout the queue. It's a free-flowing queue. There's no set line. I guess especially now with how they'll have to reopen, but even before, it's a free-flowing queue. You can go out at your own leisure. You can stop. You can take as much time as you want in each area of the queue, which is a very unique aspect of this particular ride that I'm excited for Hollywood to receive.
Oh yeah, like we have for Jimmy Fallon. I forgot that you have the like kind of loose queue where you don't have to be in line, and you kind of wander around Katie's apartment and look around at things. And that's new for Hollywood.
It's exactly right. It's very new for Hollywood, and the way they're describing it, I don't know but it sounds almost even more loose than Jimmy Fallon. I mean, they were literally almost encouraging guests as they were speaking about this to, just stop, look around. There's little mail slots that you can open up and look in people's apartments, and you can see the animals messing around in their apartments. So there's a lot of unique things within this queue that I think people are going to run through a few times and maybe take their time, and they'll probably find something new every time they walk through this queue, I would assume.
So, okay, well, that brings me to my next question is, are things like that going to not open when the park reopens for safety reasons? Like things that would be interactive or touched by multiple guests are they going to be closed off? Like, are we not going to be able to look through the mail slots or look around because of social distancing and germs transferring from like surfaces? Like, is that something they're gonna not have active immediately?
I think that's a wonderful question, and it's a question that, I mean, think about rides like Smuggler's Run at Disneyland. I mean, how can you do that ride without touching things? And then across the board, I mean, you're usually pulling down a lap bar on most rides. Maybe you're touching the ride vehicle for safety just to hold on. There's going to be a lot of touching still happening in the park. So I would assume they're going to try to mitigate that as much as possible, and maybe they will take out the extra elements that maybe aren't necessary, kind of like lifting up a mail flap or doing things like that. I haven't received any sort of confirmation on that, but just going off the fact that they're going to be trying to limit as much contact and touching and things of that nature, I'm going to assume that this attraction may skip it. But with that said, and something that people aren't considering, I wouldn't be surprised if Universal found a way to just temporarily prop up these mail flaps. That way we can just kind of walk up to it and look inside without actually having to physically touch it and lift it and do that ourselves. I think that's one way to at least guarantee that we're keeping safety there. Or Universal, like I said, they turn the other way and they just don't worry about it at all. But if they want to keep safe and they want people to still be able to take advantage of the Easter egg, I think they might go the route of actually trying to prop it. But that is not something that's been told to me or I've heard. I'm literally just speculating at this point.
What about on the ride itself? Is there anything you're worried about?
On the ride itself, I'm actually very concerned because I don't want to get people too spooked. I'm not concerned about the ride vehicle. I'm not spooked about scenes necessarily with animatronics and things like that. But something I am concerned about is one of the major features of the ride, and that's the facial recognition technology. This is not an area of the ride that's supposed to happen just once or even twice. There's supposed to be a few different times throughout this ride where you can literally see yourself, I guess, on a screen that's implemented within the ride as a pet. And that's kind of the theme of this ride, is that you are transferred into a pet. And supposedly this ride was supposed to have very impressive facial recognition technology that would track pretty much your entire face, your movement. It would be spot on when you were seeing yourself as this pet.
I know I'd seen the technology demonstrated for the Legoland in New York ride.
Yes.
And it would even match your clothing. Like if you were wearing a white hat, it'd put a white hat on you as a Lego minifigure. So like I imagine that the pets thing, I think, was like a randomized like main shape or whatever, and then it would do features like if you had glasses on. Do you have doggy glasses? I don't know if that works the same way the Lego ride does. But so you're worried that the mask would interfere with the facial recognition. Is that what you're saying?
I haven't heard confirmation on the accessories that you were mentioning, so that's actually really interesting. But something that I am concerned about is the mask. Obviously, it's going to be covering at least half of our face. There's no mouth tracking pretty much at all with a mask. It's impossible. So I'm assuming they're either going to limit tracking and not try to track people's mouths anymore. I don't even know if that's possible. Or they're just going to probably go back to a default, which I'm assuming is already implemented within the ride, to track on the rare case that they can't track someone, and just have something up, to have a visual up.
Right. I mean, maybe you raise your right hand, then the paw goes up, like that kind of stuff still works. But it just like, if it's not getting enough digital data for your face, it's just going to pick something at random maybe, or go to the default muzzle, as it were.
That is much more intricate than Universal would ever try to tell us at this point. But I will say that I am concerned about it overall. Like you were saying, putting up your hand, that should be able to be tracked. But my concern becomes, once they go to default, do they default everything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it just randomized puppies that move like us and they don't look like us? And that would still, the ride would still work that way. The ride vehicle's a box.
Yeah, it is a box.
Don't bury the lead. That's the best part. It's a corrugated cardboard box. These ride vehicles, how many people do they hold?
These ride vehicles hold 2 people. And this is also another concern of the ride, is that we're going to have another Forbidden Journey moment. If you remember the original history of Forbidden Journey and how that didn't fit all size guests, everything right now is shaping up towards the fact that if you are on the larger side, you might not fit on this attraction.
This is using the same ride system that the Yoshi ride is using over in Japan and in future parks, but not in Hollywood. And that is something I actually heard about the Yoshi ride, that it was originally designed for smaller guests. Like it was just for kids. And then they ended up making the Yoshi a little bit bigger. And there's like, well, we need to have it so the parents can ride with them. But in doing so, they only had so much clearance. So it's actually like taller people, I think, will have the biggest issue with the lap bars not being able to go down over knees, things like that. So if the Secret Life of Pets ride is anything like the Yoshi ride, I think that, certain guest dimensions are going to have issues with it. Which is unfortunate because Universal does have a history with that.
I take a lot of gear with me to the park as well. So over the course of, I guess, the few days where we thought it might soft open, I was very active talking with the team members there and asking them if they felt I would have an issue with my backpack. they didn't want to give me an answer. It was almost like they didn't know and they couldn't kind of tell me for sure yes or no. They're like, oh, I'm not sure, dude.
That's your companion that sits in the other seat.
So that was something that's interesting to me. It's like it's already small, and then there's potentially not a ton of space to even put a backpack in front of you. I'm assuming there's a little bit, but I do take big equipment, but they were acting like I might run into a little problem. But now I do want to jump down to the lower lots where Jurassic World the ride is kind of in the same boat, but then again, it's not. Everything that I've been
boat.
Yeah, there you go, in the same boat, which ironically has no boats right now or water still to this day, and that's causing reason for concern for a lot of people who aren't quite convinced that this ride will open with the park. Very interesting. Pets is a different story. Everyone thinks we're getting pets on opening day, but not everyone is convinced that we are getting Jurassic World. This was actually the case for the majority of this whole quarantine period, and this has only changed in the last 48 hours or so. I heard that this ride is actually trending towards now possibly opening with the park, so there is a lot of discrepancy about what's happening, because for the longest time, everyone was telling me, Dustin, no, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and then now all of a sudden, it's like Universal reversed course, and now they're kind of shooting to make it happen. So there is a lot up in the air with Jurassic World for sure.
Closed for, I guess, its first refurbishment since becoming Jurassic World back in February?
Yeah, closed in February, and the original reopening date was, they were targeting, they never said it publicly, but they were targeting the first week of April. They even potentially thought they could get it done as early as the last week of March. They were really pushing for it. They were trying. So it really stinks that we hit this time period, but it's very interesting to me that people are still concerned that we're not going to get it on opening day. From everything that I have heard, on the day the park closed, they were less than 2 weeks from finishing. So at this point, if we want to go with that, we can assume they are still less than 2 weeks from finishing if they haven't put in that much work since the closure.
Do you think they're just plussing it? Like they got the main stuff done that they needed to get done, and now at this point, maybe they kept it drained just for financial reasons. There's no reason to run the water until they know it's time to test again, and maybe they're just like tweaking or cleaning or fixing.
So I want to say yes to that. Just off my own intuition and what I believe, but from what I've been fed and what people are trying to convince me of, people are trying to tell me they still have things to get done.
Wow. I mean, after all this time, because the rumor was that they closed the attraction not just for normal annual refurbishment, but because the ride wasn't done, especially the final scene. I think that's a given.
So the ride, and this is a very important piece that I think you just brought up, and I think anybody who works at Universal will appreciate that you brought this up. The ride that we received July 4th, 2019, was not the iteration of this attraction that Universal hoped to give on day one. It was not the final attraction. It was an attraction that they released out of pressure and out of trying to get it done under a certain time frame. That was version 1. Now we're getting version 2. This was not just to clean up and go back and fix the boats and maybe handle some sensors. This was literally, we're going to go back and we're going to finish all the things that we meant to be in this ride from the very beginning. And that's pretty much where we're at. They also have taken a little bit of feedback from what I understand, from what fans have said about the ride already, which is kind of a unique thing that they were able to get out of this. There are things that are changing within the ride that I think people might not realize. And that's kind of where this refurbishment gets exciting. It isn't just a normal go back and clean up and kind of repair things.
So wait. What you're saying is Predator Cove will have something?
What I'm saying is that Predator Cove will not only have something, it'll have some things.
Ooh,
so
that's actually kind of exciting.
There are things that I can say today, just based on the fact that there have been overall shots from the top posted of Predator Cove. This confirms that they have taken out the Party City. It's not a pterodactyl. It's those smaller looking.
Pteranodon?
Yeah, that's right. Is that what it is?
Dimetrodon or Pteranodon?
That smaller pterodactyl looking thing is taken out. The blood taken out. That whole area.
Do you think that was just a last minute? We need something.
It was. That's not even do I think it was.
Okay.
That was not originally planned. From what I understand, it was actually something a little more gruesome. In the last few weeks, last month, they ripped it out. They said, all right, guys, what are we going to do? And they threw in what we ended up getting in that, right when we come into the left side of Predator Cove there. So kind of interesting. But what I do want to confirm for you guys is that it's taken out, and we now have the gyrosphere there, which is very interesting because from day one of this attraction, when it debuted, none of us fully understood that it wasn't the final version at that time. And one of the things that I said in my initial review of the attraction after riding it is that area of the ride needs the gyrosphere. So I don't know if they're pulling from my videos or it's just a big coincidence, but we have the gyrosphere there. It's a great thing. It's not where I guessed it would be. I actually guessed it would be in the little Indominus Rex cage area in the middle, kind of in the grass and maybe moving around and sparking and doing who knows what. But it's on that left side when you first enter over there now.
Do you think it'll be the screen used one that was available for photo ops shortly after the film?
I don't know. Do you put a screen used prop in a ride? I don't know if that's risky.
Hollywood does. Orlando doesn't, but Hollywood does. They're like, hey, let's go for it.
That is cool though, right? That would be amazing if it, like a screen used gyrosphere in the middle of a ride.
Well,
that's pretty epic.
If so, I hope there's like a big plexiglass piece or something, because it is like removed. It doesn't have any of its glass, right? It's just the frame.
It has nothing of that.
Yeah.
That's all visual effects.
Right. I want to see a plexiglass that's got half chew marks and blood on it or something.
It'll absolutely have the plexiglass. It'll be broken. And from what I understand, there's going to be some sort of action. I don't know if it's steam. I don't know if it's movement.
Little sparks. You got to have the little sparks on the wheels.
Little sparks.
That's in the movie.
It's not just going to be hanging out there like, oh, cool. There's going to be a little something to it.
So, and that's all that they're doing with Predator Cove?
There's going to be a smaller surprise. I think that's a great way for me to hint at it. There's going to be a smaller surprise.
Wait. Can I guess? Am I allowed to guess? Will you cut it out if I guess it right?
I don't know if I can say yes or no. Maybe. All right, go ahead and take a few guesses.
The two small dinosaurs fighting over something. I want them to come back.
All I can say is that you might be happy.
I'm just saying I want them to come back. I miss them. It doesn't have to be a Mickey hat.
So there are small surprises and there are big ones.
Okay.
And if you were already thinking the gyrosphere is pretty good, it gets better.
Really?
It gets much better. I'd
be happy with any motion at all in this sequence. It's just a little dead.
The big Indo is going in the finale. That's done. We all know that. That's not a secret. Universal has made that very clear to pretty much all of us. If we just ask a question, hey, is that the final Indo? No, it's not. They're very open with that. What hasn't been talked about a lot is what's happening with the old. And I'll let you take a wild guess where the old one is going.
So you're saying the one at the end, like before it closed, the one that just kind of hovers and is just a head with like part of a body, that's not the one that's going to be there. Like I thought they were just going to like they had to finish adding limbs to her and give her a new motion profile. They literally are taking that out and putting in a better one for the finale.
Yep.
And that means they have an extra Indominus.
That is correct. And which poses a very interesting question, because it makes me wonder way back then, if they were told, hey guys, we have big delays with your Indo. What do you want us to do? We're not going to be ready. Well, can you just build us something? Can you give us something that'll be ready? All right, yeah, we can probably do this. And that's what we got. That's how I've understood it to this point. I could be wrong. If I am, please correct me in the comments, Universal.
So where's B mode Indo go?
B mode Indo goes somewhere after seeing the gyro. You've kind of made your turn, and it is somewhere at the turn and right before the lift hill. Somewhere in there, you are hit with the Indo.
On the right side, because you're looking at the like you pass by the doors where it looks like she might have broken the doors open, but then there's also a little bit of cage on the right.
There is.
Could it be possible that maybe we see her moving around in there, and that's what that air cannon thing is for? There was like something. Everyone was always like, what is that? There's like a special effects cannon. Like there's signs for like T-Rex Kingdom and stuff on your left and right. And there's the fence there. But the Indo cage is on the right side, and there's trees in there. And I swear it looks like an air cannon or something. Do you think that could be where she is?
So Universal Creative is either laughing their butt off right now, or they're like, oh my God. So every time I go on that ride, I wonder the same thing what that is. And everyone tries to tell me it's just a light. I don't know. It doesn't look like just a light. I haven't looked into it enough to actually be like, that's not a light. But everyone that I question on it tells me it's a light. Maybe they're leading me astray. I don't know. But that is a great point. There is something there. I don't know the exact location. I just know as of today, as it stands now, what they're planning to do. I don't know if this has changed because of the situation, or maybe even problems that arose during this time. So I don't know if anything's changed during this time, but when the park closed, this is what was happening.
And had the ride opened with that, I think it would have quelled any, complaints about there not being enough, or there not being enough dinosaurs, like especially if there's another appearance because there's already the head too, that's above you for that one little bit before the little mini drop, right?
Correct.
So that's 3 Indominuses.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. Indomini.
Yeah, Indomini. Yeah, there is a trio of Indomini, if that's how to say it.
And in the behind the scenes footage, the featurettes talking about the ride, the ride creators, like months before it opened, were talking about how the battle at the end of the ride between the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex.
Yep.
For the boat, for your lives, is going to be the most incredible thing you've ever seen on a theme park attraction. And then we got the ride, and it's like a 3-way conversation.
They were playing rock, paper, scissors.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up?
That's how I describe it.
I'm good. It's rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, it was a big battle
out,
of rock, paper, scissors, and Blue was cheering them on.
His way out. They're all just talking to each other. But yeah, I want to see A mode Indominus Rex full body. I want to see a full body. Don't move those bushes out of the way and show this thing the way it's intended to be. That alone was already exciting to me, but to know that they're utilizing the old one too, that would be so great.
So, all right, guys, I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you guys want to catch more of Alicia Stella, she has the Theme Park Stop by Alicia Stella on YouTube. She has the Park Stop podcast as well, and she is Alicia Stella on Twitter. If you guys are looking for more from the Theme Park Shark, you can find our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are at themeparkshark.com, and of course, the Theme Park Shark on YouTube. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Shark Stop. As always, I appreciate you guys being here and for listening and or watching. Take care, have a great day, and we'll see you guys in the next one.